Hey you guys, this is Tired God, and you are reading malware with me. Reading malware. What I'm going to talk about with you, what we're going to be discussing here in this episode, is actually going to be buffer overflows. Okay, so this could be kind of like a computer show mashup, but check this out. If you don't know what a buffer overflow is, a buffer overflow, as some other YouTubers have probably, announced to you or explained to you in some other way, shape, or form, is when a certain data allotment or a slot is overcapacitated and overfilled with information that makes its way into its storage facility before it can actually store any information that is set within a parameter to only hold so much information. So what actually happens during a buffer overflow is similar enough to like a carousel or like a wheel kind of thing spinning around, dumping information out and then making way around the circle to have empty space to hold more information. Now this particular uh, thing that is the container for this data can only hold so much byte or bit information, right? So it's programmed to hold a certain amount, and as it carries up, it receives like a load of information, carries it around, dumps it back out, and carries it back through. This is the essential nature of the storage that is at hand here when it is employing what it is that's to be held and dumped out and then re-received. So each storage block has a certain amount of bytes or storage in general that it's meant to hold. So when a buffer overflow happens, it is caused by an external source providing more information, more data beyond the parameter of its size holding to be fit into this particular storage unit. And then when the storage unit gets overcapacitated, the remainder of the data actually gets pushed out of its seat and then dumped out so that some of it actually spills into an uncontained storage for that. So the data that is made available after it's pushed slightly over the top of the container is then scraped and collected by hackers who are looking for this data. And this data serves as information on the machine, on the user, on anything that could pertain to the information that's being sent or received. It really depends on the context to which it's being applied, but that is actually how a buffer overflow works. Now, usually a buffer overflow will read in certain contexts that resemble hex. So you'll have like x41 is a common value. You'll have x39, x32, x0. You'll have different storage server values like XOR or, other containment type illusions, not illusions like a mirage, but like allusions, like allocations, things that are pointing to things. And I think they actually are called pointers, but don't quote me on that, right? These particular pointers will like guide the information, like, hey, this is where it came from, this is where it's going, so on and so forth. And this is where the overflows are often happening because the information that is stored in these locations, devices that are connected to it, the users and their running programs that are doing things in the background, and also how much storage space is allowed per memory cache for these apps to continue running. If the applications are interrupted, for example, in their processes as this is happening, because a hacker got access to the live feed of everything that was going on in these storage capacities as the services were running, this is a huge problem for the user because this is a live spying tool that's being used, essentially. It's being used to hack into the system process and do whatever the hacker wants with it. That's why buffer overflows are kind of a serious thing to pay attention to and sort of a big deal, despite the fact that anyone could cause a buffer overflow just by scooting a little too much to house something where a parameter was set to house only so much data at one time. So this overflow literally casts information into a net where someone on the receiving end that doesn't belong there can just take it and do what they will with it. So I just wanted to make a quick show about how that works in the malware world. And if you are familiar with buffer overflows, if you're interested in talking about them, if you're interested in learning more about them, realize it's kind of a touchy subject, not to trip over my words, but it is a touchy subject because some people use it to get somewhere. They use it to get ahead. I'm not going to bash them for it. It makes the defense team stronger for studying their work and especially their talents here. So I understand that. But I am going to say we are going to talk about it because it is an interesting way for data to make its way to certain sources and for us to learn how it is that these machinations help and harm us as they're built, as they are, used, and whatever else goes on with them. So this has been Tired Goth with the new malware show. Thanks for tuning in. I am so grateful for all of you who tune in. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe on the way out if you like this show, and definitely send me a message telling me that you know what I'm talking about, or if you're interested, leave a comment saying, hey, this is a cool show, whatever you like. I'm just happy to hear from you. And I hope this was a really cool show for you to observe and to learn from and possibly gain interest in. So I'll catch you guys later. Stay tuned for more content. And thank you so much for watching the Malware Show with me, Tired Goth. I'll catch you guys later. Love you. Bye. Is this still recording? That's great. Hold on, wait.